All right, guys, welcome back to Ricky's Roundtable. This week, we're here in Vermont, and I've got Aaron Gossage, and I got Calvin Heimburg. Let's do it. So we're here in Vermont for the first playoff event, and just curious what your vibe is here in Vermont. What do you like the most?
Yeah, this is a really special place.
Yeah.
So I tell anybody that wants to, they're like, well, what event should I come out to? What courses should I play? I'm like, I think GMC is probably the best vibes of any tournament on tour. They're not necessarily my favorite courses. I always had some, disputes there a little bit, but just the vibes out here, the Green Mountain, the leaves changing in Vermont, as well as we always get the fall festival and everything. So it's really a beautiful place, and it feels a little bit like home, a lot like Colorado.
For sure.
Yeah, just to expand on that, I mean, it's beautiful here. We're here a great time of year. We get a little bit of juxtaposition with the courses. How it's just open and wooded. I think they're both kind of on the shorter side, honestly. But I always enjoy being here. It's always great. There's extra hiking to be done, and some swimming if you
Rocks.
want. Yeah.
Is there some cool rocks? No, really?
I've never done any rock hounding here.
Okay. I figured there would be with all the mountains and stuff around. But
yeah, I've never really looked, but there might be.
Definitely some mountain biking. Yeah, so a lot of different activities. There's like you were cold plunging this morning and stuff too. So yeah.
Yeah, you break your teeth in some of these mountain bike trails. Did you
haven't done that in a while? Yeah, a while back, got this one.
That
fixed.
was crazy. Yeah, you scabbed up your ear and all that.
Yeah,
but that was in Arizona, right?
Yep.
You're lucky you didn't freaking faceplant into a cactus, and then on top of that,
a cactus probably would have been better than the rock that I ran into.
That's crazy. I seen that picture you showed me. That was nuts. So we're kind of on an East Coast swing, and I'm just curious what you think of the East Coast disc golf. What do you picture, and what is different than kind of West Coast golf?
Yeah, for sure. I'll start us again. East Coast is always an interesting vibe. I love being out here. I think one of the things is the fall. Like we always are in this time of the year. It's the postseason. It's like crunch time. So it's some of the biggest events, and there's some really fun shots. Like there's a lot of shot shaping. I think of Massachusetts and I think of GMC as like the East Coast stuff. Rock Hill is, I guess, East Coast, but it's a little bit different vibes. But it's really a fun time, and we don't get it much of the rest of the year. So I like that. It is different though too, because we don't play a lot of wooded golf throughout the year. So you definitely have to bring a different game and mindset to this. It is a lot more of just hit your first gaps, give yourself some looks, and hope you capitalize.
100%.
Yeah, when I think of rounding out the year in the East Coast, it's getting back closer to home for me, and a lot of wooded golf. We got Brewster here, Maple Hill. US isn't wooded, but then typically we have been in the past some kind of wooded course for the Pro Tour finale as well. So definitely think about finishing up the year with some wooded golf, some scrambling, and it's definitely a lot different than some of the more open golf course style courses that we've been playing.
Yeah, you even said Fox Run is kind of like an open to Brewster's wooded, and Fox has some wooded tight lines on it as well. So even for being an open course, quote unquote, it has some lines.
It has a mix, for sure.
For sure.
It does, it's almost like 9 and 9 almost. Like 9, and not quite 9 holes, but
not quite wooded.
Maybe 6 holes have some solid wood, gaps you got to hit.
But Brewster's pretty much full 18.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's a good complement of courses for sure.
Legends built it. The next generation is elevating it. The most dominant team in disc golf history just got deeper. World champions, record breakers, the future of the game, united under one banner. This isn't just competition, it's a legacy in motion. This is the next chapter. Discraft, built for flight.
All right, this is for both of you guys. Do you have a personal favorite memory from Vermont years past? I know we've all played this event for a couple years, and I'll start. Let Calvin start with this one.
Personal favorite memory.
Yeah, memory, moment, or something. Doesn't even have to be disc golf, but just in Vermont in general.
Yeah, I guess some of my biggest memories are probably just when I had to spend 3 weeks here.
COVID.
During COVID. Got to spend a ton of time here, and when I was here then, I was staying right by Bingham Falls.
Oh, that's awesome.
I feel like I spent most of my time, since we really weren't supposed to be doing anything. I spent most of my time just hiking around Bingham Falls. Yeah. So that's kind of a core memory from Vermont, just walking around there, seeing the wildlife, the mushrooms, just there's just a ton of things to see out there.
For sure. Yeah, no, I agree. We were just talking about the golf course. Stowe has a mountain golf course. I was playing golf a lot during COVID quarantine, and just kind of played like a bunch of rounds. I think it was like me, Kevin Jones, Luke Humphreys had like a golfing group we'd play, and it was so much fun. But yeah, just it's like the golf version of Fox Run. Just open holes, downhill, mountains, lake views, and it's really cool. I really like that course. You played it earlier today, huh?
A couple days ago. I got to go out there with my bud Kyle Suttel, and
Yeah, he lives here now, huh?
Yep, he lives down in Stowe, and
that's cool.
Yeah, it's a great time.
Is he caddying again this year?
Yeah, I think he'll be out here for a couple of days. I think he has work a couple of days, so he should be out there a couple of them.
All right, what about you guys?
Yeah, I was going to say, I think my first year on tour, pretty much the whole experience was one of my favorite things. I didn't expect this. I've seen these tournaments like on TV, but you never quite know like what it's like until you're actually there. So like the biggest thing was probably the Fall Fest afterwards. Yeah. I went there with a bunch of my buddies, been touring with all year. It was kind of my last event, my first year on tour, so I drove straight home afterwards. So we kind of just like let loose. Yeah. Had a great time, drank some beers, danced, with all the music going on. So it was really amazing thing. There's also some like really cool like people out here that are really into disc golf, and they do a lot to expand on it. So we stayed at Chris's place. That's the guy I was thinking of. He's just like 30 minutes away from here, and he's got this big property, and we just like all stayed in our vans, camped out on his lake. Yeah. It's got like a little course there.
Yeah, he's hosted everybody.
Yeah, a bunch of us. We had a great time. So
that's awesome.
It's really cool seeing that community, and you're just living in the moment out here. Like the nature's amazing, everything about it. So.
You're an ice bather? You've jumped in the waterfalls?
I've gone a time or two. Yeah. I wouldn't say I'm as big as you are.
I'm just kidding.
But yeah, each year I'll go out and do the cold plunge. Sometimes I'll do the cliff jumping like a little bit, but I'm definitely like, I know I can get hurt, so I'm not going to do too much, right?
Yeah. What about you, myself? You an ice bather?
I mean, I'll do it here and there. I can't say I love it, but I'll get in the cold water. I'll sit there and just it's mind over matter. You can do it. You can do it.
Bless yourself in the Vermont ice bath. That's got to happen for sure. No, it's definitely an underrated state to play disc golf in. Just like you said, from the volunteers, the people, of course, Jeff Spring, the Pro Tour. Yeah. He's from here and has put a lot of work in. I've come from this is like, I don't know, my 12th year or something. So I've seen it grow from kind of a B tier all the way to an A tier, and then all the way to a Pro Tour, and then Worlds, obviously. So it's cool to see all the work and that's happened over the years.
It's cool seeing all the iconic holes too, and getting to like play them for the first time. And be like, oh, okay, this is harder than I thought. Yeah. On TV, I thought it was just a hyzer, and now I'm like having to shape a shot. So it's always fun getting that like moment of having the TV world come into reality as
perspective. You get to play that. Put it in perspective for sure. All right, guys, I've partnered up with JomezPro, and we've come out with some new discs for my Ricky's Roundtable podcast. We've got zones, we got thrashers, we got nukes, and lots more. Be sure to check them out on JomezPro.com. What was a moment that you guys had when you're playing disc golf and kind of just starting your disc golf career that you kind of said, okay, I want to make this my career. I think I'm good enough. And I think we all have had like that one moment where you just kind of had that clarity you wanted to do this for a career. So start with you guys.
Yeah, I can start this one off. So I went to college, didn't do much disc golf in high school. Went to college, got into the collegiate quite a bit. So a buddy of mine, we started a club at my college, had a great time with the collegiate, and I started playing really well. So I was playing a tournament every weekend, something like that, throughout college. Got done, I was like, man, I don't have any responsibilities right now. This is the best time to try this. And it was one tournament in Colorado, High Plains Challenge. I was playing just...
Joe Revere?
Yeah, super good golf.
I think of him when I think of that tournament.
So there's a couple things going up to this. First of all, I was tracking him down. I think I was 2 back. 15, I birdied, super tough hole. 16,
you don't need to say his name, dude. Everyone knows.
Yeah. Oh,
dude,
you know who it is.
Joe Revere. He owns that tournament.
16, I ripped a massive drive, had an eagle putt to get another one back on him. Ripping wind, right? And he just throws in for eagle from 300, casually, just doesn't even make a sign, just walks in, grabs his disc. Tournament's over. I lose it because you can't chase him down after just eagles that hole. But he said says to me after the tournament, he's like, "Hey, I told Eagle the same thing a long time ago when he went on tour, but you got what it takes, and I think you can make it on tour."
After he beat you?
Yeah, after he beat me. Yeah, no, it's a classic moment like that.
That's hilarious. That's baller.
He's like, I saw it this weekend, man, and you really got that. And I think that was the first time it hit home that I could make it on tour.
That's cool, yeah.
And just put in perspective, this is Joe.
Yeah, you look up to him. Yeah, he's a local legend.
Local legend.
Yeah, not just local, but nationwide, really.
And on top of that, it's been really cool these last 2 years getting the Masters like on coverage and getting to watch him like play these
So
like
cool.
top tier events against some of the best in the world, and really getting to see him like in his stride playing against at the top tier. I think that he could still make it on tour if he came out to a few of these events. He could fight in there. So I don't know. He's a local hero, and I think that's the first moment I really realized that going on tour could be something I could
really
make happen.
Really cool stories. Yep.
Yeah.
All right, Calvin.
Yeah, kind of similar timing for me. I graduated from college. I worked a little bit, but it was just to wait for my roommates to graduate, and then we went and backpacked in Europe for a couple months. And then when I came back from that, I started looking for jobs, but last second flew out to Idlewild. That was in 2018. I called up Zach Melton. He's someone, like I'd played some tour events before. I'd pop out during summers when I was in school. And I called Melton and asked him if he'd pick me up from the airport, and he did. And the guy there, a day or two before the event, I think I played like one practice round my first time out there at Idlewild. Played the tournament.
Did you get shellacked?
No, I took seventh place.
What?
I took seventh place. And,
first time at Idlewild? That's impressive.
Took seventh place, and I was like,
I got shellacked when I first played Idlewild.
I was like, dang, I think maybe I could do this. So yeah, I flew back home and just packed up my little Mazda 3 and drove out to Ledgestone and played the rest of that season. I played Maple Hill and Ledgestone. I took, I think, 7th at Ledgestone maybe as well, and then 3rd at Maple, qualified for the tour finale with those 3 events. And kind of just been doing it ever since. But it was really just that moment at Idlewild where, I hadn't really been playing a ton.
Kind of got
played
some confidence.
Really well. Yeah, it gave me a lot of confidence and kind of just kept it rolling from there.
That's cool. You don't have a local legend story like maybe Johnny McRae? He's like the Joe Revere of Florida, I feel like.
Yeah, he I got to play with him quite a bit, you know, when I was in college. He was definitely the guy to beat. Kenny wasn't necessarily playing a lot of tournaments, so it was mainly Johnny out there. And I didn't really beat him for a while, and then he actually went out on tour.
He did for
and
a while.
it kind of opened the door for that Florida scene, and I kind of learned how to win when he was gone.
That's cool.
And then, we had some battles once he
came back. Yeah.
But
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Here's a funny one to put in perspective. I think this was 2 years ago. This wasn't really like I could make it on tour, but kind of like I have made it on tour.
Yeah.
I was just like sitting in my house during the holidays, and I get a phone call from a guy named Ricky Wysocki, and he goes, "Hey Goss, I'm throwing a New Year's Eve party, and I'd love it if you could be there, man." And I was like, that is crazy. Like if like 3 years ago you told me Ricky would ask me to come to his New Year's Eve party, I'd be like, no way. And it happened, and I was like, holy cow. Like,
that was fun.
Yeah.
No, nice. I totally remember that.
We had some good times throwing some parties at your place.
Yes, definitely. There's still
stuff.
more to be had.
Yeah.
All right. So I want you guys to share one milestone kind of underrated in your career that maybe not a lot of people know about that you're really proud of. Kind of a weird question.
Milestone.
We gotta start
something.
All right. Milestone.
Just personally, it doesn't have to be like, a cool stat. It could just be like something that you're proud of yourself for achieving. Just
I guess one thing that probably kind of got swept under, maybe a lot of people don't quite realize, but I won the National Tour Point Series in 2019, my first full year on tour.
That's
and
crazy.
I felt like that was really cool.
That is.
I won the first event and the last event on the National Tour that year.
Was it Georgia?
Yep.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yep, I won in study at a playoff. And
with who was it?
Hamas, against Adam
Oh,
Hamas.
okay.
I got him on maybe the third or fourth hole. And I don't know. I feel like
that's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of those things that I look back on.
That's the first time I saw you. Yeah, too. Like breakout. Like I had no idea who you were until that tournament. It was crazy.
Yeah.
That is really cool. All right, yours, Goss.
Not to interrupt you. Go ahead.
No, but I got one other one
that
I'm really proud of. I have one albatross on a par 5.
Okay.
Where at?
It was at a course, you may have played there at some point, Pine Oaks in Ocala, Florida.
Oh, okay, yeah. I think I have played there.
You may have played
golf
there.
Course?
Yeah, par 5.
That's cool.
Kind of a little shot out of a gap, and then you're supposed to kind of play around a lake, but if you throw over the lake, you can kind of get to the green. I threw it in from upper fours, probably like 480 something. Threw it in from over a lake.
That's really cool.
So another
albatross on a par 5.
Yeah.
All right, I've never even done that, so that's really cool. Have you ever had an albatross?
Albatross, no, not like a real one.
Yeah.
I had an ace on a par 4 once at like a course where it was like a 500-foot hole.
Yeah.
So it's it's basically a par 3. It said 4 on it, so
right.
it's like close, but like nothing like that where
That's
it's like
sick.
it's
Yeah,
like a
legit par
legitimate
5.
full par 5. Yep. But
all right, what's yours?
All right, so a good milestone I had. This one I set for myself. This is my second year on tour. I was playing really solid throughout this season. I think I had a couple top 5s, and then going into like the West Coast swing, I was like, I need to really play well here because I want to make the match play. And so I set myself a goal. I'm like, I got to get a top 10 or something like that at one of these 2 tournaments to get that like 16th spot because the match play was in Colorado.
Yeah, that's right.
And
I
wanted to play it so badly. And I came out and I took a 3rd place at OTB and made it into the match play and got in there. So
that's cool. Get to play the hometown tournament.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I played that course many times throughout the years, so it's really cool getting back there. And there's some fun highlights too, where like it's like playing mountain golf again too. And it's a different style. People aren't used to the elevation; their discs just like hyzering out. And it's kind of the reason I throw the way I do. So it's really cool getting back there, and then just seeing all like, I don't know, we hung out with Simon all week. My parents came out and they got to like meet his baby and stuff.
Nice.
So
that's awesome.
It was a really cool time, and it was a good like goal I set for myself that I was able to accomplish kind of like early in my career.
Really cool, yeah, because there's not really many pro tour events that go through Colorado now.
Right.
I mean, there's a Silver Series, but no like legit. That was a legit pro tour, yeah.
Utah Worlds was about the closest we've come to that.
And that's elevation golf, yeah.
Elevation golf, right.
Yep.
Another one, it's kind of funny. I don't know exactly how accurate this is, but it's the only one I can think of in my near history, like ever. But I think I was playing with you at Worlds this year, and I shot like an 11 down over at the Monster.
Yeah.
Was that with you?
Yeah, you did shred.
Yeah, and
I
I said
that.
to you after the round, I was like, I think that's my first ever 100% C1X putting round I've ever played.
You did, and they were all circle's edge. They were like all like 30 feet, 28, 30 feet. It wasn't like you're putting from 10 feet, right? That was impressive.
I know,
sure.
like everyone does this all the time, but like it doesn't happen very often for me. It's one of the things I struggle with, and it's crazy to like go around and be like, okay, I made them all, and I think it's a testament too that I throw a lot of good drives because I get tons and tons of those 30-foot looks for birdie. So it's like, I don't know. I've never had a round where I had tap-ins the entire round.
Right.
And I feel like that happens for some people, but I've never had one.
Yeah, it is tough. You don't see it very often where people just park like bullseye a ton of shots.
Right.
You know, you're almost, if you're even if you're throwing good, you're still going to, you know, with the way the holes are laid out on the Pro Tour, it's hard to just park hole after hole after hole, right? Like you're going to eventually have to hit a couple 30-footers to keep your round going, right? Whether it's for par or for like a birdie, whatever it is. But yeah, super cool stories, definitely. I think one of mine just happened was the all 3s on a card. I had disc golf. That was crazy.
And
so
it's rude of you to do that when I shoot the
I know,
course record.
I felt
the
bad
tournament record
because you beat me by a stroke, and I was like, I feel like what are you talking about me for? Like
all 3s with the par 5 too.
Yeah,
that's
that was
what makes
crazy.
it tough.
Yeah, like I played bad on the par 3s. Like I parred all the par 3s, right? Like, but I played so good on the par 4s and the 5 that I was like, and we, you know, I don't even think I've ever done it on like a par 3 course. That's the other thing. Like, even then you're gonna bogey and birdie. Like to do it and actually shoot like a good round is like that's the other part. Like you can do it in like on a par 3 course if you're trying to do it right. Like I want to par every hole, like shoot even, right? Like
it would never happen. Reality.
Yeah.
Here's another funny one for you. You didn't know this happened because you were playing kind of bad.
Yeah.
But PCS was the first tournament I beat you in a year and a half.
Really? Okay.
So
okay.
The entire 24 season, I never once beat you.
I remember that because the last tournament we were battling at was it Hornets
MVP.
Nest?
We were
MVP. That's right. You made a comment. He's like, I haven't beat you all year.
I had you by a stroke, and then we both took 3rd place and tied.
Tied.
The last
Still,
one.
he tied the last tournament and still didn't beat him.
And it was all the way until PCS before I got you this year.
All right. Well, held out strong.
Yeah.
All righty. What kind of player were you 5 years ago, and what kind of player are you now in the growth? Just kind of talk about that.
Yeah, that's a great question. I had a big change from those years. When I first got on tour, I definitely knew when you're just like you're fresh. Every course is new, everything is new, so you're trying to figure out how things go and what I don't know, what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are. And I was definitely a forehand dominant player when I got on tour. And I would just complain each tournament. I'm like, why are they all built for righties? Why is everything like that? And eventually I said to Ezra, I'm like, I'm done with this. I'm just going to get good at throwing backhands. And I think since then I've shifted to like a backhand dominant player, and I have one of the best backhands in the world at this point. And it's interesting to like see that in my game of that shift of like, hey, this isn't built for lefties. You know, it's not built for forehands. I need to learn the shot that everybody else has, and I think that's been a big thing. And then I think just recently, this last year, one of my big changes is I've been working really hard on my putting, and I've been getting some good results. So last 6 months, I know that's like not 5 years, but putting's been a huge issue for me for the past 5 years. And I feel like for the first time, you know, in forever, I've had some really good breakthrough on the putting green. So those are my big two things, and I think they're really beneficial, and they're going to keep helping me, you know, moving forward.
Love it.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess 5 years ago, I feel like I was kind of similar to what I am now. I wasn't quite as consistent. I feel like, 5 years ago I was throwing the disc really well. I wasn't making quite as many putts, and I would definitely have, more tournaments where I would just, kind of drop, out of any kind of conversation. But, I've had moments in that past 5 years where I felt like my forehand was, getting really good, and honestly, I felt really good about it, and 23, kind of had the elbow issues and last year, and still kind of dealing with that now. But I feel like, I have finer points of the game. I can handle some flippier discs and make them do things a little bit better now.
To kind of make up for that.
Yeah. But, so yeah, roller game, definitely way better now. But, I feel not too different, just better at some things, a little worse at others. But as a player, I don't know. I feel like I'm not too far different than I was 5 years ago.
That's interesting.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just more of a consistency thing.
Yeah.
You think?
So I've got an interesting question for you, Rick. 5 years ago, I would say, hands down, no one's really going to question this. You were the best player in the world. Okay, you were at the top of the game. I think you won Player of the Year that year. Like, you're just shredding. One of the best players of all time, and I was like, okay, it's Rick's reign, right? And I'm not trying to take away from you, but like this year, last 2 years, it's been Gannon. It's not you.
Yeah.
Do you think that you were playing better 5 years ago? Do you think that your game now is better or worse or about the same as 5 years ago?
That's a good question. I think my game was better, I think, in certain ways, but it's hard to gauge because like what Calvin said, that there's certain things, like aspects of my game that are better, but I think it also translates, like I feel like I'm a chameleon kind of, like I have like different styles of courses that I like, but I try to morph my game. Like we're on the East Coast swing, so I'm going to change out discs, change your swing a little bit. So same with back then, like, I feel like my game was just different because the courses were a lot different too, right? So you have to adapt your game. So I think that like it's hard to really tell all the way, right? Because that game translates differently. Yeah. Like I could have been a better player, but that game may not have translated as well
to
today's game, right?
Right. Okay.
So like I feel like I'm better, like let's say distance accuracy, right? Because like you weren't throwing you were throwing far, but like you didn't have the OTBs, you didn't have like of course the D-glow was a thing, but it was a lot shorter. They've lengthened it a bunch, right? So a lot more, the bomb and gouge par fours, right? Like that's a big thing right now, right? Whereas back then it was just throw a drive, and then the upshot's technical, right, on a lot of the holes, but it's more like OB, so you have to like shape the shot as opposed to like rip. Now it's like you're throwing potentially to like a toboggan, 2 drivers to get a birdie, right?
Right.
So like that part of your game has to be clean in order to compete and play well, right? So like I feel like my touch game was better back then, but I've actually like my long distance stuff is like distance accuracy is better now. So there's like it's almost hard to gauge.
Okay.
From that standpoint.
So what I'm hearing is if you were to play yourself today on today's courses, you'd beat yourself from 5 years ago. But if you were to play yourself on 5 years ago courses against yourself 5 years ago, that guy would win. Exactly. Interesting. That's an interesting perspective.
Yep. And so that's kind of like the way to look at it for sure.
Okay.
But if we're playing, so if you take me from 5 years ago now and play like, let's say a course like this week, I'd probably beat myself right now, right?
Okay.
Because it's more of like, that's like Calvin said, it's not necessarily the longest course on tour. Even Fox Run, it's like there's long holes, but it's more placement. You don't have to, you're not throwing full rips because there's out of bounds that kind of handcuff you from throwing as hard as you can, you know?
Right.
So that's kind of how I look at it.
So let me take this a step further and go with this one. 5 years ago, let's even go like maybe 7 years ago, something like that. It's you and Paul, right? You guys are battling it out week in, week out. If you add in, some of the top 5 players from this year, like you add in Gannon, you add in Calvin, you add in, not to say you weren't like good back then, you add in Isaac, you add in AB, you add in a bunch of these players. Do you think it's still the two of you at the top, or do you think it's more similar to now, where it's like you guys are all like kind of in the mix? Any one of you can win any week. Is the depth of the field like that much harder now than it was before, or is it just like?
Well, I think the thing that's different now is like, if me or Paul were to basically, like, it was like either one of us played, really good, and then you're gonna win, and one of us is gonna win, because it's like we were so much far and away better than everybody else. But now it's like, I feel like there's still, like, obviously it's not as consistent, and we don't do it all the time. But like whenever if I were to play my best, which I haven't this year, I haven't had my best year, but if I do play my best, I'm gonna be at the top and have a chance to win, right? But when I don't, that's when you just drop down further when you're not having your best stuff, right?
You could have won before not having your best stuff.
Right.
Versus now, if you don't have your best stuff,
you're going to get 10th, 12th place or whatever.
Down.
Yeah, exactly.
I see what you're saying.
So it's like whenever you have your mediocre round, whereas like if you're playing your best, you're going to shoot 10 to 12 under, right? If you have like 5-7 years ago, you shoot your mediocre round and kind of have like a salvage round, or you didn't have your best stuff. Right. You shoot 5 under. Well, now you're getting 10th place. Whereas back then you were getting 2nd, 3rd, right?
Well,
that's the biggest difference, is that if you play your best, I think we still would have won,
right,
and beat a lot of these players from today. But like if you're not playing your best, there was no room for error. Those rounds would take you out of it completely, and you wouldn't have a chance to make it up, right? That 5 under, someone's going to shoot 12 under, you're 7 back, right? So that's the difference. Yeah, I think, is that there's the margin for error is 0. For today's game.
It's fun when we get to see like two people playing their best too, like battle against each other. Like we've seen a couple of those. Like Portland, obviously the World Championships with you and Paul going to a playoff, something like that. Just like the world loves to see it,
For sure, yeah. It always just both of you, we just rose each other's games, I think.
Yeah.
AB and Gannon at Texas State was another one I was thinking of. I don't know. There's definitely some. I don't know.
No, it's great questions though, for sure. I think that's a cool dynamic of today's game, is that like I love it. I love the competition, and I think that it's definitely something that it's a unique dynamic that as Calvin, if you're not shooting 10 under every round, you're out of it. You can't have that round where you're off, and you have to find a way to get that 4 or 5 under to 7 or 8 under. Yeah. And that's a big difference in today's game, because those three strokes are the difference between having a chance to win and getting 6th or 7th, because 3 strokes will drop you that far nowadays, right? Sure. Sometimes, especially at the top, because just like last week in D-Glow, there was 4 or 5 people within a stroke, right? So it was just, there's just the margin for error is so much more thin, and it's fun to be a part of it. Yeah. All right, what's the hardest part of being on tour that fans maybe don't see or aren't aware of? Whether it's traveling or just what you personally think.
Yeah, for me personally, I think it's just being away from home for as long as we are. I mean, I basically am on the road for 8 months out of the year, and there's just certain things you take for granted when you're home. It's just, you don't really have to plan anything in advance. You know where everything is. Yeah. Like, it's just like when you want to do everyday tasks, you just, your brain almost turns off and you just do them. It's like, oh, the grocery store's here, post office is here, wherever else I need to go, and you instantly know the best way to do it, as opposed to when you're on the road, you're like, I don't know where any of these things are. I gotta go figure out where they are, what the best order to do them in. So it's just, I think everyday tasks take a little longer, but just being away from friends and family too back home, it's a grind out here. It's really cool seeing new places and getting to travel, but at the end of the day, most people are traveling as a vacation, and that's why they romanticize it.
Yeah, right.
And
And we're playing disc golf.
Yeah.
People are like,
well,
it's
like I always say it's like the grass is greener syndrome, because like when you're at home, you're like doing your routine, and then eventually you're like, okay, I want to go back on tour. At least for me. And then once you're on tour, you're like, okay, I need a routine. Like I want to go back home and get that routine, right? And so it's a cycle of like off season, in season, off season, in season.
If you can hit it right though, like you can be like take an off week and be like, okay, it was a good off week, but man, I'm ready to get back into disc golf. And you get back into disc golf,
get that fire back.
And you're like fired up, and then you're like, okay, I'm burnt out. Good thing I got an off week. So if you do it just right, you can kind of counteract that a little bit, and then it's best of both worlds.
For sure.
Another one that's you don't think about very often that I got to bring up is dating. It is hard to like make a relationship happen, and like I'm a kind of guy that like I want to have a family at some point. I want to have a wife and kids, and picket fence, all that stuff. And just like right now, it's so hard because any time you try to like make something happen with someone, you're just traveling constantly. Some players have enough money that can fly in and out. They can have that person with them on tour all the time. Sometimes things work, but it's hard to build a connection that's that deep, that quickly to even have the desire to like go through those things. So I'm sure all three of us have had that same issue.
For sure.
Just like it's so hard to make something work.
It is.
You don't have anything consistent. And you're also like, hey, I'll throw frisbees for a living.
Hopefully you're okay with me dedicating my whole life to that. And that's the number one priority. You're okay with that, right? No, for sure. I think that's a huge factor that people don't think about. But I think for me, and to kind of elaborate on what you said, is that like you kind of hit on it, is that you like maybe you meet somebody or start developing a relationship, and then by the time you're like kind of like feel like it's going somewhere, like, okay, got to get out of town, right? I'm out of here, right? Like that week or 2 week window goes by, and you're just like, all right. And then you're, pen paling and trying to see, call. And so it takes a toll. I think more mentally, like, if you do the long term or long distance thing, it's a mental grind more than anything. Cause you're just like, you're like torn. You're like, oh, you want to be with this person? You don't. But that's
then
a
you
tough
see
one.
people like Yuli, your brother-in-law, and you're like, man, it can work out for some people, and it creates a really beautiful situation. So I mean, you've always got that perspective of hopefully like something perfect will happen. I have no idea. I don't want to comment on what's going on there, but Yuli and Sarah seem to be doing amazing. They got the kid that's staying with us, so it's awesome.
I think part of it is that obviously she's my sister, so she, growing up and being on tour, she kind of saw the lifestyle, right? And so she was kind of like, that was a little bit normal for her, right? So I think probably Yuli saw that in her, that she was like, oh, she was used to the chaotic, like in and out traveling. I'm here 1 week, I'm gone for a couple months, then I'm back. Like just the inconsistency of not being around physically, right? So I think that kind of, I'm sure Yuli saw that in her, and she was understanding of it more so than most people that aren't in that situation, So I think that's probably turned out to be a good thing.
She's also had to deal with you her whole life. So
exactly.
She's like, okay, Yuli, I can manage.
Yeah, exactly.
I can handle Rick.
Exactly. That's an easy task. Yeah.
Last one I want to bring up that's kind of one people don't think about. Going back to people being like, oh, you're doing what we love. You've got to just be enjoying this all the time. You don't realize disc golf becomes a job. And it's one of those things, and I first really saw it this last off season. And I went out to play a casual round with my friends, and I was just throwing some shots, and halfway through the round, I'm like, I don't enjoy this. It's like I would rather be practice putting in a backyard right now because it's lost a lot of that feel of I want this camaraderie, just doing this and this and this, and it's like I would rather improve. I've conditioned myself so much to the point of I want to get better at disc golf to increase my game and do all these things that the casual disc golf is just, it doesn't hit like it used to. It's not the same sport.
Yeah, it almost feels like you're kind of, what I say, going through the motions, right? Like if you play a tournament every weekend for 6-7 weeks in a row, by that 7th week, you're still throwing shots, but you don't have the fire, okay, I want to execute the shot, right? You're just like, okay, another shot on the pro tour. All right, sweet, got a birdie. Okay, got a par. You're desensitized for a little bit, not all the way, and it's not. I'm not speaking for everybody, but I'm saying it can turn out that way if your mindset lets it, right? And
it's not the same.
Yeah, it's not the same, and it may be for me, and it's not. I'm not saying speaking for everybody. You may be different, but
I'm a little different. I actually, I feel like when I go home in the off season, I play casual disc golf. It actually kind of makes me refine my love for the sport. It kind of reminds me
awesome,
I got into it because I was just playing.
Kind of short course, ace run courses just for fun.
I'm not worried if I hit a tree. Everything's shorter than what we play on tour, but it's just I I don't know. I got into disc golf playing with my friends. Like some of my best friendships are from people I met playing disc golf, growing up. And, I get to see them again. Maybe that's part of it. It's just part of it's just being home. But
kind of resets that.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Like, I guess I'm not super locked in and focused on, playing my best disc golf then. But and also it's maybe just being with those people. But I enjoy going back home and playing some casual disc golf.
Good for you, man.
Yeah.
That's great to hear.
I always like playing, like, going to the, on tour, you're like, oh, where's the hardest, I want to get challenged, right? Play the hardest, course. But for me, over the years, I've always liked just going to a local 9-hole course and just saying, all right, I want to go have some fun, try to hit an ace, right? If I hit a tree, I'm not like bouncing out of bounds, going to a drop zone, and then like panicking if I'm going to get up and down, right? Like on the pro tour, right?
Work on your ace runs and your long putting.
You just go over there, you throw the shot, and you're just like, oh, cool, I blasted 50 feet by. I'm not in the pond, right? I'm just like, oh, cool, pick up my disc, I missed the ace, and, go from there and just kind of have more, like Calvin said, more fun.
More fun,
So that's something that definitely helps me too.
Yeah, I need to work on that, I guess.
But yeah, that's a good way to look at it. When you're on a hot streak versus kind of when you're super cold, what changes in your mindset between the two? Kind of a deep question, but we've all been on, I think, both sides of the spectrum there.
Yeah, so let me talk about mental game a little bit. I've found that...
Why are you giggling, Calvin?
I feel I'm about to get, like some weird talk.
Some weird talking to you right here.
Funny.
I find that I play my best disc golf when I can stay like locked in that moment, have all my energy moving forward, really pumping myself up, living with that emotion, all of those things going on. So to really get into those locked in moments, that's the mental state I need to get into. And I like telling people about this. This is kind of my philosophy with mental game. I try to get everything moving forward, but you get those bad breaks, you get those bad shots. You're like, and you're like, how can you build momentum with these shots? And for me, it's this moment of I have to get it out and I have to let it go. So I have to be like, what was that? Like, what are you doing? Come on, Goss.
What are you doing?
What was your mistake
sure.
you just made? Are you not focused? You're not doing that? And then you're like, okay, man, like you got to fix that. And then you're like, all right, now on to the next one. And so you really need to take that moment, be frustrated with yourself, be frustrated at the situation, and then be like, okay, now let's move on to the next shot. Let's keep that energy moving forward in a positive direction. And I think that too many people will sit there and dwell on that shot. They'll be like, oh gosh, that break that I had way back there. Oh, if only. And it's like if you can let that all out at once, and then just get it going into the next shot, into the next throw. It really helps keep those low slumps from happening and keep those high those hot streaks happening.
Right.
I don't know. That's one thing I like to say. We'll let Calvin go for a bit.
Yeah. I guess the original question was like, what's different between when you're going hot and cold? And for me, I feel like when I'm playing my best, it's just like I'm almost thinking about nothing.
Yeah.
And it's just like
just kind of
happening.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's kind of weird, but like you almost like don't even have to try. Like I'm not overthinking anything. It's just like I see where I want it to go, and
monkey see, monkey
I
do.
just throw it there. But and yeah, when it's cold, it's for me generally when I'm cold, it tends to be the putter, just not getting it up high enough. So it's just mental struggles on the green, figuring that out. And sometimes it's just wanting it too much. Like I think one of my biggest problems when I miss low is actually like I move my arm a little too quick, and my wrist isn't quite tense enough to where like I actually kind of tilts the nose down.
Right.
Like I move this too quick, and then the nose gets down.
I
So
can relate to that.
Yeah.
Just a, quick motion.
yeah, like it's
and
like sometimes it's like when I try to putt harder or quicker, my putts actually go shorter because I get the nose down, as opposed to if I was just smooth with it and it just like spun out and my nose is flat and it's just it's getting out there. So, but and yeah, that's always a tough thing to battle, because it's like you obviously want it. You're there to compete. We all are competitive, and it's hard to tell yourself, you got to slow it down to actually
because your natural instinct is when you're playing bad is you want to speed up almost. It's almost like you're and so you got to like reverse that and feel like you're fighting that. Yeah. For me, and then like you said, it's almost like when you're playing good, it just comes natural. You're not over speeding your arm. It's just nice smooth tempo where it's not, everything feels more natural. And so I think just like anybody would imagine that when your cold streaks are a lot harder to snap out of, right? And then the farther you go down that snowball is the harder it is to snap out of it, right? Whether it's 2 holes, 3 holes, 3 tournaments, right? Like we've all had times where we're just like, wow, I feel like I'm just in a fog mentally or physically, whatever it is, whether it's mechanically with the throw or mentally. And it, once it lasts more than a couple holes or a couple rounds or even a couple tournaments, it starts, taking hold of you mentally or physically or both sometimes. And so that's why it's, like you said, it's so important to try to nip it in the bud and feel it. You just don't want to feel it, pretend like it never happened. Still feel it, let it go through you. And the quicker you move on and not let it dwell 2 or 3 holes, which, everyone's done that, I'm sure, where you let it affect you more longer than it should, right?
For sure.
You got to learn from it and just be aware of it and try to not let that happen as much as you can.
Yeah, it's just, I think Aaron's kind of onto something. It's like when you have something bad happen, whether you rationalize it by trying to, figure out what you did wrong, or if you're the person who just needs to sit there and blame it on something completely arbitrary. As long as you get past it, I think that's probably like the best advice. Because you see different people do different things. Some people they're like, what did I do wrong there? And like, how do I not do it again? And then there's other people who, like, you watch them and they exactly what they did wrong, and they will not. They'll be audibly verbal, and they will not admit what they did wrong.
You're so infuriated.
They'll act confused.
Oh yeah.
Wind. Oh,
I think that's
did
me.
A leaf fall over there?
That's me. What are you? Which one are you?
Oh, I definitely have done that before. The classic,
you're like so irrationally pissed off that you're so pissed. Just to make yourself feel a little better, you're like, oh yeah, that was the wind, crowd. Don't look at me. I'm not that bad of a putter, I promise. That was the wind.
Another one is confidence. So when you're playing your best, you're most confident. Like, you know where the shot's going. You understand what's going on, stuff like that. But it's hard to build confidence, and I think everyone does it differently. So I'm definitely more of like a realist. Me and Ezra are in the same boat of, like, the best way for me to build confidence is practice and just see the disc go where I want it to. And then that's what gives me a lot of confidence. And there's some other players, like I think Simon's a great example of, he can build his confidence from other things because he doesn't practice. Sometimes he plays better without practicing sometimes. So he finds ways of finding that confidence without necessarily having that, like, tons and tons of repetitions to go with it. So whatever you can kind of do to find that confidence and feel it. And maybe it's just like, in the morning your mom's like, hey, you're looking really, really handsome today. And you're like, oh man,
sweet,
it's going to be a good day.
Exactly.
I don't know what it is necessarily, but the confidence is so key in building those rounds where you can just stay hot constantly.
For sure. No, 100%. This is a kind of a quick one, but it's kind of fun since we're in Vermont. What Vermont feature would you use if you could design a course and incorporate a Vermont landscape? Would it be mountains? Would it be rivers? The Vermont trees? There's a lot of landscape they have here that's great for disc golf. And I think for me, I like I like the trees. Yeah, I think that the trees, maple trees, they change color. They, of course the mountains are great too. I think it's, if you can have both, that's great. But they just have such good trees. They're pretty. They're like big enough to where you can see them. They're not like pencil trees. But they're enough of them to where you can shape, design really nice, carving fairways through them.
For sure.
And you can, like I said, you can see them. It's not like you're throwing in a fairway with pencil trees that you can't see. That if you hit them, it's almost like, you can't really see where the fairway's defined, right? Yeah. And so that's, for me, that would be mine.
This is a pretty generic one, but I love that we're on the Green Mountain and we get this the up and down, where you're going up the mountain, down it, and it's some woods golf. So you get a lot of this like elevation change. You really got to match your nose angles, but it's a little bit less of like D-glow of just throwing down these huge mountains, and a little more of
gradual
shaping shots through the woods on these mountains as well.
And I feel like it's gradual. Like D-glow is like, all right, you're going down a cliff and then you're going straight up a cliff. Right. Here it's like rolling, like slow and like slow uphill. It's not like straight up. Like,
and you can get some changes too, where you'll be throwing down and back up. So it's definitely a fun aspect of the course that I really like.
I'll just go different here, I guess. I like the little mountain lakes.
Yes, those are
I don't know. One of my favorite things about here is just the views. So like, anywhere where you can get out and see a landscape. Yeah, it's
so
just
pretty.
Yeah, it's just beautiful backdrops.
For sure. I feel like they need to utilize that lake at Fox better. Like, it's not really in the play. It's more visually. That one hole downhill hyzer, but like I feel like they could incorporate maybe a couple extra holes, like 2 or 3 more baskets there. Like, doesn't have to be right on the water, but like at least in play a little more, right?
Yeah. Hole 9 is probably the most picturesque one. It's not really in play, but you get to like see the lake and you get to see the sun shine down on it too. It's such a beautiful spot.
100% it is. Who's the funniest guy on tour that you've played with, and who's the most serious? I think everyone might have a different answer. So.
Oh, that's interesting. There's so many different personalities out there, so it's fun to like be able to see all of them. And here's the funniest one. I'll give you one example that fits both categories.
I know exactly what you're gonna say.
So
see if I'm right.
One of my favorite people to play with of all time, of course, is Ezra Aderwood.
I knew it. He's both.
And we have some of the best dynamics in our practice round. And let me just tell you, when he plays a tournament round, that man is serious, and he gets down to business, and he gets the job done. So it's an interesting difference from the rounds, because I've had times before where I'm like all jokey and stuff, and he's just like, I'm locked in.
Yeah. Don't talk to me.
I'm the big guy and with serious face, and it's so funny. And I'm still just the silly goose over here.
Yeah. What about you?
Yeah, I guess as far as funniest, I would point out a couple of my friends. Maybe it's just because, it's who you spend the most time around, sure. But like I play a lot with Zach Melton and Zach Arlinghouse, and they're a couple of goofballs just as well. But when it comes, I don't know. I feel like Melton's still a goofball in a tournament. I think he's always like that. But or then play with someone like you, and I feel like you're one of the more serious people when it comes to playing on the course. I feel like you kind of lock into your own space, your own world. Sometimes it can be hard to get a score out of you.
What are you talking about? Yeah. All right, I'll get better at that. Thanks for the heads up.
Who you got?
Mine. All right. Funny. I like playing with Nico. I think he's fun. I like Nico off the course. Really good friends, and he would probably laugh if I said this. And it's all out of respect, but I think that his rages, and he's aware of it. It's not like he's not aware of it, but like I think his rages are kind of funny. Sometimes I giggle, and like on the inside, I may not like externally giggle, but like I'll just like it's like because I'm friends with him. I want to tell him like, dude, you literally took a minute to doink the 10-footer. Like, what are you doing? Like, that's my you could have done that in 12 seconds. Like, what are you doing here?
Dude, every interaction I've ever had with that guy is so interesting.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just like, holy cow, what is happening right now? Just every single one.
So he kind of fits the category like what you said. He's serious, but then also like he's not really funny, but he's funny to me. I don't know why. So it's but yeah, that's kind of mine. It's kind of like yours. It's kind of the same all in one and package.
There's so many characters on tour.
There is.
It's fun, and it's cool seeing him in all of these different aspects. Like you grow to like know everyone, and I don't know, it's a fun camaraderie for sure.
You get the rage monsters. Like there's a lot of rage monsters that like they'll rage right off the bat, first bad shot, and then you'll get the internalizers. They'll like shank, and then it'll like slowly build up to the blow up. You just punch a tree or punch the ground or do something so stupid.
And you didn't even see it coming.
Yeah.
You're just sitting there. You're like,
those are almost the worst because like when they do blow up, it's worse than the people that like freak out on every hole, right? Yeah. They're just like they wait till like 4 shanks in a row and then they're like ballistic. We all know those.
I've had a ballistic moment or two myself, but fortunately, not many people have seen them.
Oh, that's good. That's good. You got to hide them well. That's good for the brand. All right. This is a fun one. I think we just had the players dinner. You guys went to the Pro Tour players dinner where a lot of the players got together and gave some insight, and so it's inspired by that. But what is one thing you'd like to see changed by the tour to better the tour as a whole?
Just in a general concept, is something that I think would help the tour tremendously is if we get into this, if we could get to the point where the Disc Golf Pro Tour is making its own rules for the Disc Golf Pro Tour that don't affect the entire PDGA. We're the top. We are the professional top tier of this sport, and we're getting to a point where we're kind of outgrowing a few of the rules that I don't think need to be changed for the rest of the field. But it'd be nice to be able to create our own set of rules that just applies to us. And a few good examples of this are potentially making Circle 1 longer. I think that too many people don't need to jump putt at 33 feet. And if we move that out to 15 meters, something like that, it'd be like moving the 3-point line back, for NBA players, but not for college.
Right. It's different in college. It's shorter.
Exactly.
Right? So it's the same concept.
It's very similar like that. And I think there's a bunch of things we could do like that. But if we could really push towards that in saying that, Disc Golf Pro Tour is different than, your casual C tiers, things like that, and get a set of rules that just applies to us. I think that'd be really big for the sport.
I like it.
Yeah, I tend to agree there. I mean, like one of my biggest things that I feel like I've brought up to the Pro Tour people is like I think eventually we have to kind of remove technology from professional play.
I agree.
I
So
think
you're saying no rangefinders?
no rangefinders, no
I like it.
headphones. I don't think anyone should be able to have access to their phone while playing.
No telephones. Okay.
I think when we're sitting there watching live coverage and we see someone scrolling Instagram or whatever, I think it's a bad look
looks bad.
optically.
Yeah.
I mean, there aren't a lot of people to do this, but I think being able to sit there and like you throw around a blind corner and you're on a covered card, you can sit there and you can watch your disc go around a corner and you can already start game planning for your next shot before you realistically should have that opportunity.
Yeah, I see that.
I don't know. I mean, and there's other things that, may or may not happen. Like I could text my friend who's behind me, be like, hey, there's this wind. You're not going to be able to feel from the tee pad on hole 12.
Right.
It's blowing across.
It's left to right, yeah.
It's left to right, but you're not going to know from the tee pad. So just a heads up. I don't think we're supposed to do that. I'm not saying it's happening, but it could happen.
Yeah.
Right.
And I just don't even think that should be like a possibility. So I think, we're not there maybe yet, but I think at some point we need, not even just for optics, but for fair play.
Fair, yeah.
I think it needs to be eliminated.
Interesting.
And with what you're saying, like especially like the rangefinder, it adds a whole different skill set to disc golf. If we get rid of rangefinders, then you actually have to make these gauges yourself. You have to game plan like your practice rounds. You can be like, okay, this tree's this distance. So I think it adds another skill set as well.
Yeah, you can do it in practice, and you have your little marks on your trees, and you make your gauges off that trees. You can put notes in a notebook or something, and
I agree.
I
think that'd be cool.
I don't. It's more professional, and like you said, it puts more of a premium on playing a practice round and getting that feel. Hey, I'm at this tree's 250, this landing zone's 350, and you can kind of gauge that way and it rewards kind of a feel player, right? Yeah. Right now, a feel player that like you have an advantage, like it's a skill to be able to see the basket and say, okay, that looks like 250. Right, so then you play your shot like it's 250, as opposed to like someone that has no idea. Like that could be 300, that could be 350. Like that's a skill in itself.
Yeah,
is being able to tell like how far holes are and all that. So I'd like that's kind of eliminated with the, like you said, the rangefinders.
Yeah, and I think like it would make these open courses that you typically think of as like Heiserfest, it would make them harder.
Yeah,
just
it would.
by the nature of like it's harder to judge those distances when
without the trees.
Without the trees. So it's like now you're just trying to do it by basically
feel.
And I think like courses like I don't know.
Vegas would be a good one.
Like courses like that. They're
those bunkers short and long. Like you have to throw the perfect distance control, and if you're 5 feet long or short, you're OB.
Yeah.
Right.
One thing I'll raise you that's kind of an interesting thought is the phones are like our only way of checking what scores are at. And I don't know if that's a good thing or bad thing, but you would have players that would have to make decisions without knowing, how, like, if you're on chase card and you're 14 down, you're like, man, I could be like in first place now, but I might also be 3 back. You know, so like it'd be tough to make these like game time decisions without all that information. And I don't know if it's good or bad, but
I think I'm not entirely sure how they do it in golf. I know a lot of times they have leaderboards up throughout golf courses, and I think that may be their only way to tell. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, leaderboards so they can all like take a look.
But I mean that's way down the road. You have to set those up. It's like you have to have someone manning the leaderboard. Like, but I mean, I think as like a short term, it's like if you do end up with like enough volunteers to have a live score on every card, it's like you can get that information from your live score.
Hey, what's the leader at?
You can be like, hey, can I see the scoreboard?
I like that. I like all those changes.
Oh yeah, and then you also it could just be like, hey, you have a leaderboard, that like they walk around like, hey, the
Right.
top
Yeah,
3
yeah.
or 4 cards you get or whatever, because that's where you want to know is the most important, right?
Right. Another issue though is the cash line. I think a
Yeah.
lot of players are like, right on
Totally.
the cash line. They're like, do I need to go for this?
Right,
do I
right.
not?
Yeah.
So
Uh-huh.
another spot where like if you just had one player, like the scorekeeper that knew what the scores were, maybe.
Yeah.
I would like to also see cuts, not just cash line. Like this whole cash line's cool, but like just a literal cut, because you can make the cut and miss the cash and all that. It's really weird. I think we need tournaments where it's like, all right, if you don't get top 40, you're cut.
Right.
Like you're out. It's like I think that would be really cool because it would
So
free
you're
up
saying every tournament.
every tournament. Yeah.
So
whether it's after 2 rounds or
Right.
4 or after whatever after 2 rounds, if it's 3-round tournament, the final round it's a cut. Like you
Right.
have to make that final round. Like it's a privilege. You have to play well, right?
I'd love to
So like,
see
if you're
like
in 80th place, like it really doesn't matter. You can shoot 18 under and still miss the cut, right? It's kind of irrelevant. So it's really like, and you just had a bad week, right? So it's
Yeah.
not like you
Move on to
probably
the
even
next
want
one.
to play anyway, right? If you're not playing your best.
I
So
think
I
with,
think, and it would be professional. It's like you said, you can make the cut and you're okay. All right, I made the cut. Instead of like, okay, yeah, I made the cut. Like sometimes there's like 5 or 10 people that make the cut but not the cash. It's just like it's kind of confusing.
We're working on that too.
Yeah.
I think that's something that's going to get fixed. But I think another thing is like 4-round tournaments. I'd love to see the cut after 2 rounds.
Mhm.
You play one
For
course,
sure.
play the other course cut, so that you don't get a situation like Ledgestone where you have someone that plays, mediocre or a great round at Eureka, then 2 mediocre rounds at Northwoods, and they get cut. And it's like I would have jumped way back up because I play Eureka so well.
Right.
But because it was because
could-
of 2 big rounds at Northwoods, you barely miss the cut and you don't get that chance. So if you go 1-1 at 4-round tournaments and then do the cut, I totally agree. And 3-round tournaments, I think
Yeah,
the same way.
2. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
2 is fine. This is always a fun one. If you weren't a disc golfer, what would you be doing as far as a career goes? I think I know your answer, but
That's easy for both of us,
Yeah.
I think. I went to school for computer science, so my plan was to get a job with a family friend. His name's B. She's works for a coding company, so I was going to apply there and hopefully get into
you're a fast typer.
writing software. I was.
Yeah,
at one
not anymore.
point.
You lost it. You lost it.
Yeah, but definitely going into something like that. Just problem solving's always been really fascinating to me. So it's gonna be it would be completely different. But there's a lot of interesting stuff going on with AI, app making, stuff like that. So I think it'd be a really fun career, regardless.
For sure.
Yeah, I got a chemical engineering degree, so honestly, I don't know exactly what I would be doing with it.
You haven't found out yet.
I don't know. I don't know. That was probably one of the reasons why I ended up coming and playing disc golf. I didn't have a ton of direction on what I really wanted to do.
You just kind of did it and was hoping for the best, kind of like, hey, if I'm going to do this and know that it's going to lead to something.
Yeah, I think, I don't know. I kind of went into it like, I really liked chemistry. I didn't want a chemistry degree. Both my parents were engineers, so I just kind of went with chemical engineering. I think I probably wanted material science engineering.
Okay.
When I actually look back on it. There's a little more chemistry involved there, but I don't know. I couldn't tell you exactly what I'd be doing, but
Yeah.
it'd be something involved with that degree.
Yeah.
I feel like this is a better question for you. Like,
Yeah.
both of us have pretty, clear
I know.
career
Yeah.
paths. You've been doing this since before.
Yeah.
I was born.
I so
Maybe.
So actually, I made that decision kind of in high school, where I was like, I had like kind of my fallback plan. Where my high school, we had vocational schools where like if you're a guy, a lot of dudes went into like you could be a car mechanic, like trade schools like plumber, heating and cooling, and then like the girls would do like cosmetology, hair, and all that stuff. And so I went to HVAC. So I did like heating and cooling, and I was gonna, I could do like a 2-year program, so I was able to get certified, and I could have went out and like started my own company or worked for somebody and did like a trade like that. And so that was something that I didn't necessarily, obviously I don't need it, but that was kind of my fallback plan. Instead of, like you guys went to college and that's kind of your thing. That was my thing in kind of high school with the heating and cooling.
Well, obviously it didn't work out that way, but I'm
Yeah.
just going to throw this out there. You're way too competitive for that to
No.
ever happen.
Right,
you had to be in
exactly.
something where
Yeah, it
you're
could
like
be a good-
beating,
Yeah.
winning or losing,
Yeah, right,
something
yeah.
like that.
It's gotta be. I agree with that for sure. But yeah, I've had a little bit of, I can do service calls, like if you're heating.
Professional poker player.
Yeah, that would be
there we
fun.
go.
That would be up there for what I would want to do.
Yeah. I've seen you at the table.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
ruthless.
I'm an animal. It's fun. I ran into your dad at a poker room randomly, just playing poker. Where was it? Texas earlier this year.
Dad's
and
like
Goss's dad just sits down right next to me. Oh, hey, what's up, dude? It was
Dad
like me,
yeah,
Hammock.
I saw Brad Hammock sitting there, so I tried to like sneak up on him. So he was like
Yeah.
hunkered down, trying to like sneak up on Brad, and then Ricky just looks over and is like, "Is that Papa Goss?"
It blew his cover.
Yeah.
I blew his cover immediately. That's funny.
Classic. And then he said you just smoked him all night
Yeah,
long.
I do. I felt so bad. It was like one of those nights where like you have like poker's kind of like that. You always have that one person you're always getting in the hands with, and it was
Yeah.
your dad. And I felt so bad because I kept crushing him. I was like, no, anyone else on what the person you know, right?
Yeah.
You always want to take everyone else's money, not the people you come there with or know.
Exactly.
Oh, that's funny. Vermont is known for maple syrup, so you got to have something to put it on, right? Are you a waffle guy? French toast? Which one are you?
All right, so
Waffles or French toast?
I'm definitely pancakes.
Or pancakes.
Oh,
That's the other
no,
one. That's the
you're
other
a
one.
pancake.
Of course you are. That's the most boring.
I will say the most underrated thing though, maple syrup in the coffee in the morning.
Oh, the maple lattes. They love
Yeah.
that. I know you're a coffee
Pretty
guy. You
fire.
maple lattes are amazing. Have you had creamies?
Creamies? Oh, is that the like
Maple
ice cream?
ice cream.
Yeah.
Oh, they put the
Oh.
maple syrup in the soft serve,
Okay.
mix it up, and just it's heaven.
That sounds great.
It's so
yeah,
good.
I would go with waffle.
Yeah.
I like
Waffle?
the nice crispy little
Oh
parts. I
yeah,
like
whipped
crispy
cream and berries and all that.
What about
Yeah.
French toast? I mean, both those are ahead
Yeah.
of waffle.
No,
Come on.
dude, waffles
You're
the
a
best.
pancake guy. What
Dude.
are you even saying?
Yeah, right. Pancakes but that's like liking vanilla ice cream over all the cool flavors. You like the most bland
Bro,
one.
it's the same batter. It's just put in a different
I
shape.
know, it's like cooler though. It's like a more foo-foo pancake. It's like cool shaped, you know. You can put whipped cream and butter in there.
They hurt too much. They're too crispy.
Oh, does it hurt your mouth?
Dude,
You
it's
can't
bad.
hurt it.
No.
You can't chew on it. poor baby.
I know.
Yeah, I'm with Calvin. I like the waffles with whipped cream, berries, all that good stuff, and then you get the Vermont syrup. I always stock up on syrup. I get
Yeah.
like a gallon,
I
2
know.
gallons.
They're selling it over there
Yeah,
by the notch.
by the
you
notch.
know?
Yeah, that
There's
dude, I
always
bought
that-
some from him. Yeah.
yeah.
He's got. You can go over there and take samples. He does like little
Oh,
shot
that's
glasses.
sweet.
They have like dark, medium, and light. So it's like coffee roast. It's like they have like darker, and it has like a more like potent
Wow,
flavor. Yeah,
more
it's pretty
flavor.
cool.
That's cool.
He said it's based on like the seasons when they like when
Oh,
they
when
get
they
it out of the
harvest?
tree. Yeah, when they
Yeah,
harvest it.
interesting.
If they harvest it early and it doesn't stay in the tree as long or something like that, it's lighter. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
I'm
So I always
definitely-
stock up.
Yeah, I'm gonna pick up like 4 pints and
Yeah.
just give them as like gifts to like different people.
Yeah, so you can
'cause-
put them on your stupid pancakes. Just kidding. Just kidding.
Jeez, getting
Gossage
roasted
is
over
definitely
here.
gonna make pancakes for breakfast
Oh, for
tomorrow.
sure. Yeah, he is.
Right now. I'm about to fire him up at midnight.
All right, what's one personal goal that you want to chase for your whole career? I guess you'll probably hopefully achieve it, but what's one goal that you've set out for your career that you want to achieve? It's a better way to put it.
Good question.
Well, I guess I've never been really big into
Goals.
goal setting.
Okay.
Well,
what would
I don't
make
know,
Calvin happy?
like I guess like like at first it was like win a tournament on tour, and then it was like win a major. But I guess like the ultimate goal is like win a world title. That'd be obvious, the
Yeah.
obvious one. I think that's probably the biggest one. That or U.S. title. I think I put those 2 majors above the rest. I think like if I were to tier, it would be like win Worlds, win USDGC, win any other major, and then like below that like any tour event. Like I want to win Maple Hill more than any other tour event.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
like I have certain tour events that like
You put on a pedestal.
I put on a little bit of pedestal. I think it might be because that was like the first tour course I ever went and played. I think it was like 2014. I drove up there with some friends and played it.
Has that nostalgia for you.
Yeah, but so yeah, I guess world title. I think that'd be the obvious answer.
Goss hit every C1 putt for the rest of your career. You'd be unbeatable.
A few more. Yeah, so obviously getting a win
Yeah.
is a big goal of mine. Second big goal is to break into the top 10 in points. That's something that I've been right on the cusp of for a while. So that would be a huge accomplishment for me if I could do that. Still have a chance this year, but especially next year.
Playoffs, anything can happen.
Yep.
Anything can happen,
Exactly.
right? There are a lot of points. I looked at it, and technically speaking, I have enough points I could jump into second.
Really? That's crazy.
You know what I mean? Like everyone else would have to just miss cash, right?
Yeah, you're right. So,
But there are enough points that it is possible.
well, because it's weird because then they don't calculate drop-off tournaments, right? Do they?
Well, it doesn't matter anymore.
Okay.
Yeah.
Both of the playoffs count fully.
Oh, I got you. I
Yep.
got
So
you.
it's-
Wow, so it's super
It's
heavyweighted.
super heavy. Yeah,
Okay.
everybody counts.
Okay.
Yeah, you can definitely move up and drop. up
A
at
lot,
this point.
yeah.
in the point.
Huge, a
Okay.
lot of things can happen.
Interesting.
Big career goal of mine is to turn disc golf into a career instead of just this thing I've been playing constantly. So I really enjoy the sport. I like a lot of aspects of it, and so I'd love to like turn that into something I can sustain, whether that be through commentary down the road, through course design down the road, or maybe like rules, some kind of management. I could see getting into just more involved in the sport. So that's
cool,
one of the
yeah.
big reasons, I'm at these meetings, I'm on the Player
Yeah.
2 Council, is I really do care about the sport, and I'm trying to get it to do as much as I can to help it improve the most I can. So really turning this into a full career would be a big goal of mine.
Awesome. Yeah, no, that's very well said. This one's kind of a funny one. What is your weirdest or kind of funniest like fan interaction you've ever had? I think we've all got some stories, and I want you to share those. Calvin, you got to have some.
Yeah.
I guess I'll start if you guys give you time to think.
Okay.
But I have definitely. You always like people are always joking like, "Oh, I want you to sign my baby." Well, one time someone brought their baby, just had nothing but a diaper on, and I think it was OTB actually. They're like, "Yeah, sign my baby." I was like, "Oh yeah, that's funny." And then they were like, seriously, like, yeah, like, definitely sign my baby. Like, and I'm like, I felt super awkward. I actually signed the baby,
Signed the baby.
on the skin and everything. Like, it was pretty crazy. And I've signed like toaster ovens. Of course, people want to be different. They're like, oh yeah, sign my toaster. So they unplug their toaster from the kitchen, bring it out, sign the toaster. It was pretty funny, but
Some wild ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Definitely
sure you guys
signed
have
some
crazy
weird
ones.
things. I've signed a couple cars.
yeah, Pro Tour
once-
Finals, right? That Mustang or something, wasn't it? It was like really. He had a bunch
I
of the
might
pros
have
sign
signed
that.
that one. I don't know, but I know I signed
probably
another
did.
one just randomly. I was walking between holes at like one of the Delaware Disc Golf Challenge tournaments. I was like on the course playing a practice round, walk between holes. The guy drove in, I guess recognized me, and I signed the roof of his car.
The top?
Yeah, the
That's
top of
pretty
it.
funny.
Old yearbook, like it felt kind of weird to sign someone's like,
Like high school yearbook?
Yeah, but it was like someone way older than me. Like it's
okay.
like. Yeah, it was just a
little strange.
really old yearbook. I was like, man, what am I doing signing this?
Signing it.
Was it the
there's
same
a
high
lot of
school you went
extra
to?
Space though.
What? No,
Was it the same
different
high school? Okay.
No, not same
Had
school.
no correlation with
Yeah,
you at all.
Yeah, I just signed his
That's
yearbook,
weird.
Yeah.
Super weird, random.
All right, so here's a fun one. Last year at Maple Hill, I was playing a practice round with all the homies, and we were walking down the fairway during the skins match. And so there's a random spectator walking through, and he goes, "Oh, what's up, Goose? What's up, guys?" And he's saying hi to us, right? And he's like, "Hey, are you guys whiskey drinkers?" And I'm like, "Well, shoot, I've drunk whiskey before. Yeah, I'm a whiskey drinker." He's like, "Oh, let me hook you up." I'm like, "Okay, thanks, man." And then I didn't see him for a while, and we were like finishing our round. We're on like 18, something like that. And he walks up, and he's like, "Here, I'm from this company. It's called New Riff, and here's a whole box of whiskey." And he hands me 6 full like handles of whiskey in this box. He's like, "Yeah, dude, we're at this new thing, so just like help yourself, give it out to friends, whatever, all that kind of
Just
good
passing
stuff."
out handles.
Later in the week on like Sunday, he's like, "Hey, did you already go through all that whiskey? I've got plenty more for you."
Go through it.
And
You're
I
like,
was
dude,
like, "Bro, there's no shot I'm ever going through that."
I drank like not even a couple of shots, and
So I ended up giving away a bunch of those bottles to like a bunch of friends
that's
and
cool.
different situations like that. People that helped me out on
Yeah.
tour, stuff like that. So
did they like him?
Yeah, no,
Flavor?
it was really good whiskey. And
Did you try it?
I finally finished my bottle after a whole year of drinking it.
Oh, you didn't finish it in
with-
2 days? Like you want- like
with
you
my
thought?
dad. So, sir,
That's funny.
if you're there at Maple Hill again,
Yeah, I need
could
to
use
restock
another bottle.
Yeah, or
box
6
of whiskey.
or 6 handles. Oh, that's pretty funny. What was
Yeah,
it called?
we-
New Riff?
Yeah, I think you probably had it. I
don't-
brought it to a few
Maybe I've
things
tried
you've
it.
been
Yeah,
at.
maybe the New Year's party you brought it. Maybe that's pretty funny. All right. Where would you want disc golf to be in 10 years, and where do you see it getting? So that's kind of a difference. So where ideal world, where you want disc golf, and where you think it realistically will get.
So this is an easy question of where I would love to see disc golf go, and that is the Olympics. I think the number one thing that can improve the sport and get it in the worldwide view is getting it into the Olympics. We had the World Games this last year, which I heard was a really solid stepping stone there, but you just don't get the same feel. There's 2 main things. One is everybody sees it, so you get all these people that don't know anything about disc golf, and all of a sudden they're just cheering for specific players because they're from their own nation. They're being patriotic. And the second thing you get is you get kids that look on the TV and say, I want to do that. And then the kid just aspires their life to be that person, to build into that player.
It sticks with them.
Right.
Yeah. Their whole life. Yeah.
With those two things and really getting the eye on it through the Olympics and things like that, I think it would just vastly improve the sport. And that's where I'd love to see us in 10 years. Where it's actually going to go, I have no idea, man. I've had many conversations about this, and we've got high hopes for way down the line. But I don't necessarily think it's going to happen in 10 years. When I talked about like this being a career path for me, I could see myself dedicating a good portion of my life after my career ends to making this happen as well. So I think we're really moving in the right direction with the sports. Every year it seems to get better, and working with the PDGA, working with the Pro Tour, everything coming together. So I think we're going to go some good places, but I just don't know if we're going to be able to make it to the Olympics in 10 years.
Yeah.
I think Aaron just painted a much prettier picture than I was. The
way you were going to put it?
Than what I was even imagining. But so this is tough to follow that up. But yeah, I think just ideally, more exposure. I guess I never really thought about it, in the way he did. But getting the Olympics would certainly get us way more exposure than almost anything. But yeah, where it will go, I mean, I can tell you just whatever the past 7 years I've been on the road, it's come a long way.
For sure.
And hopefully it continues to, come a long way. Every year is better. I don't think I've ever gone a year where I'm like, wow, this is worse than the year before. So
it's either just as good or better. Yeah. Slightly incrementally.
Yeah, I think it's getting better every year. Even if it's so slightly. But 10 years, I don't imagine it looking too different than today, honestly.
I think we'll still be back here in Vermont in 10 years for a playoff event?
Or you think it'll be different venues?
Different venue?
I could see Vermont being not a playoff event in 10 years.
You think so?
Really?
I could see that change. I don't know. I think if we slowly... I guess one of the big things of Vermont, I just feel like we don't get like a huge turnout. It's kind of way
spectator-wise.
The big thing is being near big cities.
Yeah, it's kind of out here, and I mean that's one of the reasons why I think so many people love it is we're kind of farther away from the city.
Isolated,
we're more in nature. It's a little more isolated. But
sure.
I also think when you think of playoffs, you think of bigger events, you think of more people,
crowds,
more's on the line. But so like I could see maybe in 10 years it being somewhere else. Probably still on the East Coast because we're always trying to loop back to USDGC, which is one of our last events in the year. But I don't know. It's a mystery.
I think I'd like to see, for me, is the infrastructure for the players and the fans. I think that's the biggest thing that with the Pro Tour is obviously getting a lot better with all that. Like as Calvin said, it's slowly getting better. You look 5 years ago and, people can literally just follow you around the course. They could go pick a disc out of your bag if they wanted to. And there's nothing stopping them, right? Like there's no security.
It's getting closer to golf.
Yeah, exactly.
In 10 years.
So,
yeah.
But then also there's places for fans to hang out, to drink, to listen to music, watch on a screen with so we're getting there with some holes. And it's gotten there's some VIP areas and things like that. And I think that more of those that pop up and like Iowa, they have that one. The Ace Run hole where everyone hangs out and it's like a fun hangout spot. Like Maple Hill has that. Like the more of that kind of atmosphere we can have throughout the course, instead of just maybe one hole, have 5 or 10 of those on a course, right? Where you have 100, 200 people here and there that are on a VIP area like Worlds, right? That was what made that, I think, far and above so much better. There's corporate people that like rent this place out and they're having their, they're having a blast drinking, watching the tournament. They may not even know, but it's just they make the experience and they make the tournament look and feel professional from that standpoint. So the infrastructure from both sides, I would love to see that improve and continue growing, which it already has. And the Pro Tour, of course, like Calvin said, they do a lot of great things, and you definitely have to applaud them on that. And I think that's just that next step too. Yeah, and that goes hand in hand with what you're saying. The Olympics, they want to be able to promote it and have those viewerships and have that look really good infrastructure-wise for the cameras and the product that they're trying to sell.
For sure. I think Estonia is another really good example that they've turned it into the festival. So it's like people, their whole family comes out, to like make a day of, hanging out, having a great time, having some drinks, some food, petting zoo, bump and jump, and disc golf, So it's like, it becomes that whole atmosphere where like people don't go to the Waste Management
Yeah.
Open to watch golf.
Exactly.
They go to the Waste
Party.
Management Open to have a great time. So if we can get disc golf past that point of like, this is just a disc golf tournament and this is just an event
Hang out.
that people like to go to, it would be huge for the sport.
And especially if you're in the city, if you're in a LA or if you're in a Phoenix, or if you're in those areas, you're already drawing from millions of people, right? Vermont, there's more people in one city in Arizona, Phoenix, or California than the whole state of Vermont, right?
Right.
So like and then like you got, but like it's weird because disc golf is so different because you can have a city like LA where there's no disc golf fan base comparative to like Kansas City. It's a tiny population, but it has, let's say, 10 times more disc golfers or club members or whatever, however you want to calculate that number.
Right.
And so it's not necessarily equated by how many people are in that city, but it's more like because it's so niche, right? In Kansas City, you got big disc golf there. You got Charlotte. Charlotte's a big city, but and then you have places like LA that have no disc golfers, or Phoenix, even them. There's not that many disc golfers in general compared to the population. So that's the tough part that we struggle with. Is it's not even only like going to a big city, because if you don't go to the right big city, you're still not going to draw a lot of fans, spectators, right? So
For sure. Yeah.
it's just so pocketed, in the U.S. It's crazy. So that's, I think it also has to do with the land too in the areas, but that's a separate topic.
Yeah.
All right, we'll do one more question.
Cool.
How do you define success beyond just trophies and achievements? I think that goes to what you say a lot because you're kind of not really a goal-oriented person. So this is a good question for you. And start with you.
Yeah, I think for me, a lot of times it's just like I am looking at it one shot at a time most of the time. So it's just going out there and trying to throw the best shot that I can in that moment, and just continually doing that, and not, letting expectations or, I guess really it's just expectations. Just stop letting those get in the way, and just like trying to do my best and with the hand I deal myself.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a good point. This is something I was going to mention earlier. I talked to Ezra about this quite a bit. I've spent a lot of my career being like really good at driving and then really poor on the putting green. And Ezra just went through this recently where he was really good at putting at the beginning of the year, and then it's kind of left him a little bit, but he's still driving really well. And he's like, man, it's so frustrating to like see all these missed birdie opportunities. And I'm like, oh, he hasn't experienced this yet, And it's a really good moment of like figuring out this, like, how do you draw success? And so we'll be playing practice rounds that he'll just be frustrated by because he's not scoring. And I'm like, no, this is a really productive practice round for me, because I may not have been making any of my putts either, but my drives were on. And that was my goal today, is that I can find these successes in the things that I'm doing really well at the time. So like even when something leaves me, like my putt or something like that isn't going very well, it's really important to see what you are doing well, and it's a lot harder to see. But giving yourself that credit, and especially in the practice rounds, it's like my goal isn't to go out and shoot my best round. My goal is to go out and figure out what I'm going to throw throughout the round. So when I'm throwing good drives, to me that's a success. Mm-hmm. And then later I'll go to the putting green and I'll be like, okay, my putting was a little bit off. I'm going to go grind that out and find some success there. And it's just so important, I think, to find those little bits that you're doing well. So it's like even when you go to the putting green, if things aren't on, you can find specific things you're doing really well. You're like, oh, okay, well I'm getting this to work for me. This other thing's not so much, but giving yourself that little bit of like gratification, that little bit of like understanding that you're a good player. You know, your score may not reflect that you played very well, but you threw a lot of good shots and you did a lot of things well. Keeps you from going crazy, and it really like helps you like love yourself, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I think like you touched on it, is that it's always you get caught up in, and my putt's good, my drive's bad, right? So you get real frustrated. But like you said, there's there's always a positive and a negative. Is that like as long as one of parts of your game is really good, you can still score, and you can still what I call the salvage, right? Yeah, right. Like everyone has the rounds where you're not playing your best, but you gotta find a way to it may not be a 12 under where you're gonna be where you want to be near the lead, which is what it takes on the pro tour, right? But that you gotta be able to, if it's driving, you're throwing really well, you can focus on that and say, all right, I'm throwing really well. Let's try to take that as a positive. Yeah, I'm not making all my putts, but I can get throwing birdies where you're literally just throwing it so close you really don't have to putt, right? And so, or vice versa, if you're shanking or if your swing is feeling a little bit off, is like your putts. And so as a professional, you always got to find a way to at least have one of those be on, right? And so it goes to what you said, like that's a good thing. And most time you can, it's for me that I've found is that it's like, I always practice what you're good at, right? That's easy to do, is practice what's working. You're like, all right, further boost your confidence, and then you may not even realize it, but you don't practice as much what you're bad at because you're like, it's uncomfortable feeling. You're like 20-footer doink, 20-footer doink, 20-footer doink, but you're not learning anything. Like, you learn stuff from missing, right? You're like, okay, I missed short, like what Calvin said. All right, my tempo was off a little bit. So you learn things by missing, and you can kind of make the adjustment from there. But if you're just like not practicing as much because you're scared of the result, then you're just going to stay bad at it, right? I think making adjustments. I think that's a lot of amateurs struggle with that. Is they're scared to go to the practice basket and change up different things with their wrist, with their grip, all these different, just to see if it works. Because if it's not working, you got to switch it up and take one step back to take two steps forward sometimes, right? Mm-hmm. And it's scary. That's a scary thought process to go through, because you're going to start shanking, maybe even worse than you were before, right? Because it's going to feel so foreign. It feels like you're holding a foreign object when you're putting bad. It's like, I'm holding a brick. What's going on here? This doesn't feel right. Like, versus times where it's like, oh, this is, feels easy, right?
Another thing that's really hard to do is ask for help. I know every human being I've ever met hates like just being vulnerable and being like, hey, I don't know what I'm doing. Can you help me out? And I think that's something that can help a lot of people. You're like, oh, this feels foreign to me. Do you mind looking at my putt? Or go to someone that you know is good at that and be like, hey, can you give me some advice on what I can do differently?
Very true.
It's a hard thing to do because you're admitting that you're not good at something, and that's hard to do. But a lot of times that is what it takes to move forward and to get to that next step. So I don't know. I think that's always a good option when things just aren't quite clicking on a certain aspect.
For sure. Yeah. All right. You guys want to share some social media handles and how people can support you on the road?
Yeah, you can find me at Heimburg on Instagram. But as always, thanks to my sponsors, Innova, Millennium, Swatch, Flight Factory. Without them, it'd be a lot tougher to be on the road. So they make this easy for me, and always love the support from them.
I always wondered how your handle was pronounced.
Yeah, see Heimburg?
Heimburg.
I thought it was see Heimburg.
Yeah, I thought it was Heimburg.
Yeah. The German accent, Heimburg.
Yeah, same thing. You can follow me on Instagram. I do have a YouTube channel, so if you guys want to check out my practice rounds, they're quite a bit better than Ricky's. So go check them out.
All right.
Team Discraft as well. Go down to the website. And thank you again for having us on here. It's been a lot of fun having these conversations with both of you.
Yeah. Thank you guys. And thanks for tuning in. Thank you guys for watching. And once again, we'll see you at the next episode.